If someone looked at you and said, "You deserve to make millions a year," what would happen in your body? Would you receive it easily, as if some part of you had always known it? Or would you smile awkwardly, shake your head, and quietly push the sentence away? That reaction is not small. It is a mirror. It shows the hidden belief you carry about your own value. It reveals whether you truly believe money can come toward you without your having to prove yourself, exhaust yourself, or earn your right to be seen. Many people spend their entire lives running. They leave early, come home late, and work with a kind of violence toward themselves. They believe that if they suffer enough, push enough, and endure enough, life will eventually reward them. But the strange thing is that money often behaves like sand in the hand. The tighter you grip it, the faster it runs through your fingers. Then there are people who do not seem to be rushing at all. They are calm. They do not compete with every passing shadow. They are not desperate to prove that they are useful. Yet life seems to meet them with more elegance, more ease, and often more wealth. It is not always because they are luckier. Very often, it is because they never joined the game of trading suffering for money. Most people have been trained to work for money by shrinking themselves first. They cut sleep short. They suppress emotion. They give up time with family. They turn down invitations from friends. They begin treating every moment that does not produce measurable value as a waste. At night, they refresh financial apps and calculate the day's income. At the end of the month, they stare at the paycheck and try to estimate how many more years it will take before they can finally be free. They are tired, but they do not stop. They are anxious, but they do not say it out loud. Somewhere inside, they still believe, if I just hold on a little longer, it will all get better. But the missing piece is not always the number. Often, it is the frequency behind the effort. People call out to money from pressure, scarcity, and self-doubt, without realizing that money responds more easily to steadiness, trust, and joy. Money does not fear effort itself. It fears the kind of effort that says, "I do not believe I am worthy unless I suffer for this." This is Momentum Arc, a space for inner exploration and spiritual growth. Your likes, comments, subscriptions, and super thanks do more than support this work. They help this energy reach more souls who are ready for real change. Kyle Cease was once one of America's most recognizable comedians. He performed to packed rooms, topped Comedy Central charts, and became known for his timing, sharp rhythm, and the kind of presence that could pull an entire audience into laughter. But at the height of that external success, something inside him began to turn. From the outside, he had the applause, the stage, the visibility, the approval. Yet beneath all of it, there was a growing emptiness, as if he were playing a role that had less and less to do with who he actually was. That realization became the beginning of a deeper transformation. He started seeing that applause can become a very sophisticated way of numbing lack. The more he chased approval, the louder the old inner voice became. I am still not enough. At some point, he had to admit something both painful and liberating. Many of the actions that looked like ambition were actually driven by fear. Fear that his real self would not be liked. Fear that if he stopped performing, he would disappear from people's attention. Fear that without achievement, he might not matter. That honest confrontation eventually became the seed of his book, The Illusion of Money. The book points directly at the distorted relationship many people have with wealth. Cease argues that what exhausts us is not money itself, but the attempt to use money to heal an inner wound it was never meant to heal. We do not always move toward wealth from the joy of creating. Sometimes we move toward it from a quiet ache. I am not good enough. I am not worthy enough. I need something outside me to finally make me feel complete. When money is called from that frequency, it becomes an illusion. No matter how much you chase, it never seems to arrive in the way you hoped, because what you were really trying to receive was not money. It was proof of your own worth. Cease's central question is not, how do I make more money? It is, which version of yourself do you believe in when you reach for money? That question changes everything. Because the ability to attract money is not built only on hard work. It is shaped by whether you inwardly accept your own existence as valuable before the world confirms it. From performer to spiritual teacher, Cease stopped speaking in order to impress and began speaking in order to awaken. He points toward a simpler, harder truth. When you stop using effort to hide self-doubt and begin aligning with who you actually are, money no longer has to be chased in the same way. It begins to move toward the field you have become. Effort itself is not the enemy. Effort has always been part of human growth, creation, and self-realization. The question is not whether we work. The question is, what kind of energy is moving through the work? Aristotle once wrote, in essence, that we become what we repeatedly do. Action does not merely fill our days, it slowly shapes the form of a life. In Eastern philosophy, Zhuangzi spoke of effortless action, often translated as wu wei. It does not mean doing nothing. It means acting in harmony with the way things naturally move. It is not forcing, it is responding. Not tension, but steadiness. Not control, but trust. This is the difference between effort that depletes and effort that creates. The kind of effort that has real power does not come from trying to compensate for an inner lack. It does not exist to please, impress, or prove. It rises from inspiration, devotion, and participation. It is like a painter working alone with no audience in the room, finishing a canvas that feels true. Or a farmer moving through the morning field, not dramatically, not loudly, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the harvest is being shaped by daily presence. That kind of effort does not hollow a person out, it deepens them. Every honest act of creation, every sincere word, every disciplined practice, every choice made from inner alignment is a conversation with life. It is the soul saying, I am willing to participate. Albert Camus, in The Myth of Sisyphus, described a man condemned to push the same stone up a hill again and again. The stone always rolls back down, yet Sisyphus returns. His effort looks absurd, but it becomes meaningful because of his awareness and his refusal to be reduced by the task. True effort is not obsessed with outcome alone. It is a response to existence. It is a way of saying yes to life without turning every action into a transaction. When effort becomes that kind of steady life attitude, money is naturally drawn closer. Not because effort has been abandoned, but because the field around it has changed. Money stays more easily where the energy is stable, full, and open to receive. It is like a sensitive traveler. It lingers where it feels respected, welcomed, and appreciated. When your life state is relaxed, joyful, and steady, money seems to hear something different. It does not hear panic. It hears invitation. In The Illusion of Money, Kyle Cease points to a painful truth. Many people are not working so hard because they love the future. They are working because they cannot bear the way they feel about themselves now. That sentence cuts straight through the surface of ambition. For many people, effort is not creation. It is escape, made to look respectable. They work because stillness frightens them. The moment they stop, something uncomfortable rises. Anxiety, shame, restlessness, the old sense of not being enough. So they keep moving. They tell themselves they are building a life. Often, they are running away from an inner silence they do not know how to meet. They believe they have to become better, stronger, smarter, more impressive, more successful before they can be loved. But that kind of love is built on conditions. Be enough, and then you may be seen. Perform well enough, and then you may be safe. So the harder they try, the more exhausted they become. Cease suggests that lack is not merely a financial condition. It is a built-in pattern, often shaped by childhood experiences that were never understood or healed. The moments when we were taught that we had to be excellent to be worthy, obedient to be loved, useful to be noticed. Those moments can become the roots of overwork later in life. Each act of desperate striving can become a replay of an old request. Please see me. Please approve of me. Please finally tell me I am enough. When that frequency leads your choices, money does not feel trust. It feels anxiety. It does not meet openness. It meets a clenched hunger. The more you try to control it, the more unstable it becomes. Because money does not like being treated as proof that you deserve to exist. Real change begins when you slow down enough to hear the inner voice you have been trying to outrun. And instead of demanding that it perform, you say, I hear you. You do not have to prove anything anymore. Something shifts there. You are no longer the child chasing wealth for approval. You become the person who can remain steady, trust the rhythm of life, and keep returning to the work from a deeper place. And in that steadier field, money no longer feels hunted. It can turn around and stay. Cease offers a direct path of transformation. Stop trying to become who other people want you to be, and begin becoming who you actually are. That is where the line is drawn between effort driven by lack and creation arising from frequency. When you stop pleasing, defending, and performing, the behaviors you once used to purchase value begin to loosen. In their place, a lighter rhythm appears, one more synchronized with the actual movement of life. More than a decade ago, I worked as a design director at a well-known advertising company. At that time, my proposal approval rate was unusually high. Younger colleagues often asked me how I got clients to decide so quickly. My answer was very simple. Take the empty language off the PowerPoint and turn it into what you actually want to say. That was the whole thing. When I stopped performing professionalism and simply spoke from what I genuinely believed, my words carried more power. I was not trying to manipulate or convince. I was letting sincerity, conviction, and passion come through naturally. In that moment, I was not acting. I was creating a field. My frequency was steady, open, and alive. That is the beginning of moving from fear into allowing. When you trust the sentence, I am who I am, recognition, success, and money often come closer faster than you expected. When you stop using force to prove yourself and stop running from the discomfort inside, life begins to move through you differently. Allowing is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is a deep openness to the present and to the highest version of yourself. That kind of trust reminds you that your value does not come from fighting for approval. You are not valuable because you have successfully negotiated your worth with the world. You are valuable because you are already a source of value. Then you stop exhausting yourself for money. You begin tuning yourself toward joy, abundance, and truth. Money no longer has to be dragged toward you by struggle. It begins moving toward the state you are living from. Lightness is not laziness. It is what alignment feels like. From today on, try approaching effort differently. Before you push harder, ask yourself, is my current frequency abundance or fear? When you want money to move, say quietly, I am already enough. I am already abundant. When you feel the urge to double down and force everything, slow down and ask, what am I running from? What am I trying to compensate for? Then leave a little space with no agenda. Turn off the phone. Close the laptop. Step away from the plan, even if only for 5 minutes. Sit without trying to meditate correctly, without chasing an answer, without forcing insight. Simply exist there. You may begin to notice that real inspiration and real financial movement are not always things you can squeeze out of yourself. Often, they arrive when control loosens and inner space opens. Blank space is where the universe can enter. It is also a reset of frequency. When you intentionally give back time and attention, returning to a state of pure being, money no longer feels like prey to be hunted. It becomes something closer to a guest that can finally feel welcome. Try setting aside a period each week with no target attached to it. Do nothing. Let it be a form of surrender, a small act of returning control to the deeper intelligence of life. You might even give that space a name: God's waiting room. Not because it is empty, but because it gives the sacred room to participate. Practice this kind of space in daily life too. Leave a pause when you speak. Do not rush to fill every line when you write. When making a decision, do not force the answer to appear instantly. These small gaps are bridges for wisdom to enter. They are the echo of a steadier frequency. Money is one of the most spiritual energies in life because it mirrors the state from which you meet it. The more you trust yourself, trust the moment, and trust the rhythm of life, the more quietly money can approach. You have prepared a cleaner container for it, a space not crowded by control, but open enough to receive. This age does not lack people who work hard. It lacks people who understand the motive behind their effort. Money is not simply a reward for how much you suffer. It is a response to the state you live from. A rich life is not always something you earn by forcing. It is often something you allow yourself to hold. You do not need to become someone else. You need to return to who you are before fear taught you to perform. When you no longer rush to prove your value to the world, when each effort is no longer a bargaining chip in exchange for approval, you may realize something. Money was never as far away as you thought. It was waiting for the version of you who could sit inside your own life without constantly doubting your worth. When you allow yourself to be real, money can come more naturally. When you are genuinely joyful, inwardly steady, and living from what you love, money has its own way of moving closer. It does not respond to your struggle. It responds to your purest state. Money comes closer not because you are finally good enough, but because you have started trusting that you were always qualified to carry abundance. In that moment, the grip around "not enough" begins to loosen. Trusting the unknown is not giving up. It is a deeper opening to life. It is a refined response to the rhythm of the sacred. When you release your desperate hold on the result, money stops being a chase. It becomes a lighter movement of resonance. Money comes because the inner space is ready. Money stays because you no longer doubt your value. You are worthy of love because you have always been precious. You are meant for abundance because you are ready to let it move through you, carrying love and possibility into the life you are building. Money pulls away from those who work desperately while never believing they are worthy. It is drawn to those who are steady inside and who know how to appreciate the value they already carry. You are the one who is worthy of this. Now it is your turn to receive.